Send your license key and a private message to the RSM Verify bot on Discord, and then you'll have the Downloads tab unlocked. So download version 3.1. Go to your dedicated server and create two folders, one for the first server, one for the second server. Paste the contents of that zip file into the first server, and then run the exe file, version 3.1. Put your license key in there. Go to the Steam tab, click Install and Update Server. That'll take a little bit of time, depending on your internet speed. Then you go to the Config tab, and these ports are unique. So 38,000 through 38,004 is what I'm going to use in my case, just because I'm using the default ports already. Server, Archon, and app IP can all be left the same, 0.0.0.0. 99% of the time you're not going to touch those. And next we have to go to the Windows firewall and allow these ports through the Windows firewall. That's half the step, half the battle. So hit the start menu, search Windows Firewall with Advanced Security, and then go to Inbound Rules, choose New Rule, then Port, then TCP for the first time, and put the port range 38,000-38,010. Now we're doing that just because we're running multiple servers, and we're going to be using more than just 4 ports. We're going to be using 8, but it doesn't really matter. But next, give it a name, do New Rule again, port UDP this time, same range, 38,000 through 38,010. Next, give it a name. This next part is called port forwarding. This is going to be unique for everybody, so you're not going to be able to follow along exactly at this point. So open command prompt, and we got to get the default gateway IP. So type ipconfig. Default gateway is your router. So that IP address, you will toss that in a web browser. In my case, I have Unify, so the steps are settings, routing, and then port forwarding. Yours is going to be different. You're also going to have to know what your credentials are for the admin account for the router. This is probably default, so it's probably like admin, and then maybe password as the password, or 1234, or 12345, or 1234567 maybe even a blank password in some cases. Usually, your internet service provider does not change the default stuff, but if you ever want to find out what it is, just maybe give them a call. They might give that information out, but sometimes not. Anyway, in my case, WAN port 38,000 through 38,010. That looked familiar from the Windows firewall. The forwarded IP address is the IP address of this machine on the local network. So back on that command prompt, that's what my machine's IP address, which was 7.2 in this case. But for everyone that does not have a Unify router, the steps are going to be, again, kind of up to you to figure out. You're going to have to maybe go look up a guide or something on your router on where port forwarding is located. The steps for doing that are going to be pretty much the same as you saw there. You do a forwarded IP or a forwarded port range, and then like a WAN port range or like an external port range. So they're just going to be the same. But then you can copy the contents of the first server to the second folder, and then run version 3.1 on the second folder, and then change those ports from 38,000 to 38,005, and then 6, 7, 8. So in order for people to connect to your server externally from the internet, you're going to have to know what your external IP address is. So open up a browser and go to something like ipchicken.com, and where it says current IP address, you'll just kind of copy and paste it where you see this here. So the command in Rust will be connect space the current IP address, colon, and then the server port from the server config. So 38,000 for the first server, and I think 38,004 or 38,005. I can't remember what we set it to, but yeah. Then you're good to go. Then your buddies can join, and you can have some fun.